new climate law is costing New York City residents millions. They're saying, I'm terrified. City demands green conversions for exorbitant fines. Laura Dugan, Daily Caller News Foundation, WND reports, a New York City climate law regulating emissions is set to impose harsh penalties on large buildings, many of them residential, that don't comply by 2024, forcing building boards and residents to make difficult financial decisions, according to the New York Times. Local Law 97 is part of the city's 2019 Climate Mobilization Act. It aims to reduce carbon emissions by 40% by the year 2030 and reach net zero by 2050. Can you imagine? By targeting buildings which are believed to be the city's largest polluters, according to New York Times, but the strict regulations put building managers in a difficult position, forcing them to choose between costly energy upgrades and massive fines. One building manager, Greg Hart, told New York Times he could install solar panels on the roof that's going to need $650,000 replacement in coming year, install a new boiler system that will have to be replaced in a few years as emission standards become more stringent, or face massive fines for non-compliance. He says, I've been looking at every option I can think of and I don't know what to do, he told the outlet. I want to be zero carbon, zero penalties and zero debt, but it's not going to be an easy road. Glen Oaks Village, a collective of more than 2,900 apartments in Queens, plans to spend $24.5 million replacing its gas and oil boilers over the next 5 to 10 years, but will still incur an anticipated $700,000 per year in fines, according to New York Times. I'm terrified of it, Arlene Bett, 60-year-old longtime resident who paid off her one-bedroom apartment in the complex, but worries about her $500 monthly maintenance fee growing. She says, I will not be able to afford it, and there's no place cheaper. Bob Friedrich, a board president, told New York Times that penalties would force the board to sharply raise maintenance fees. They're not looking at the real-life cost of this, he told the outlet. Buildings produce about 70% of New York City's greenhouse gas emissions, and buildings over 25,000 feet, which the city is targeting, produce about half of all building emissions, according to the New York Times. About 60% of those buildings are residential and really rely largely on fossil fuels for heating and cooling. They could face up to $60 million in total fines annually under Local Law 97. The City of New York did not immediately respond for comment. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.